Alrighty, we'll kick off now. So welcome to the Integrated Innovation Network's virtual hub. My name's Siobhan Curran and I'm the manager of the University of Newcastle's Integrated Innovation Network, or I2N. I acknowledge that I'm hosting this virtual networking event from the lands of the Awabakal and the Worimi people. I also acknowledge the traditional custodians of the various lands on which you all work today and the Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islander people participating in this event. I also pay my respects to elders past, present and emerging and celebrate the diversity of Aboriginal people and their ongoing cultures and connections to the lands and waters of Australia. For those of you who are new to the I2N, we're all about boosting economic growth and diversity through entrepreneurship and innovation in the Hunter region, and we fuel the success of innovators, our researchers, coming up with new inventions in the lab, and entrepreneurs, be they students, staff, alumni and the wider community, to really build great ventures and connect them to the four things we know they need to succeed, which is community, coaching, customers and capital through our innovation hubs and programs. So we manage 2 co-working spaces, I2N Hub Hunter Street and I2N Hub Williamtown. And we have a 3rd innovation hub opening in mid-2021 at Honeysuckle, which we're super excited about. You may see it coming up out of the ground if you go down Honeysuckle Drive right now. We should get our timber frame up in the next couple of months and glass on before the end of the year. So exciting progress for us there. In those innovation hubs, we offer a range of programs that are developed to cover the 6 stages. We've grown from 3 to 4 to 5. Now we're at 6 stages of venture growth. And that's from enterprise skill development for things like the Grand Challenge and hackathons that we put on, all the way through to incubation for startups and scale-ups. The other sort of new stage that we've added is our Connect events, and Startup Stories falls into that category, as well as Join the Dots, which is our monthly networking event too. So normally we'd be delivering our monthly events like Startup Stories at one of our 2 hubs, but as you know, things have changed a little bit and everyone's, I think, very much getting into the groove of gathering virtually. So we've formatted this event and we're kind of tweaking the format as we go along, and we think we've found a good way to be able to manage these, I think, in the most effective way possible to make the best use of the time that we have with you, as well as our amazing speakers. So we've taken a number of questions from the attendees at registration, and we'll be leading with those after our speaker today provides a brief background on their startup journey. And then we'll open it up to any questions that have been asked via the Q&A function at the bottom of your screen. So our guest this morning is Phoebe Breckell, a local entrepreneur and founder of Happy Skincare, an all-natural skincare company based here in Adamstown, Newcastle. So Phoebe and her husband, Aaron, they founded the company in 2010 when Aaron created a 100% natural stretch mark cream to help Phoebe through her pregnancy. Anyone out there who has gone through that beautiful phase of life knows the realities of stretch marks all too well. But after a few tweaks to that solution, it became their first product. So Phoebe and Aaron have then built up a brand from their lab in Newcastle and have grown their distribution to over 250 stockists Australia-wide. And they've garnered over 5,000 5-star reviews from many happy customers, and their products are recommended by medical professionals as well, which is a really great seal of approval for any skincare product to have. So welcome, Phoebe, and thank you for taking the time to join us at Startup Stories today.
Thank you. I'm very excited to be here.
So I'm going to hand it over to you and you can kick off your presentation.
Okay. All right, so I'm just going to share my screen and so you can get a visual of what our story is all about. Okay, make sure I do this right. Okay, so today I'm going to be sharing with you a little bit of the story of Happy Skincare. So our startup story doesn't actually start with a product idea. Our journey's sort of been more shaped by a search for what we read about as being called financial freedom and having control over our own time. So neither Aaron nor I have business backgrounds. So our approach to creating our business was, it might seem a bit unconventional and unplanned, and largely that's because it was. Every step of the way has just been learning for us on the go. So if you think about businesses as like in terms of the tortoise and the hare story, we took the tortoise approach. We couldn't be further from a startup who has raised lots of capital and seen rapid growth in a quick amount of time. So they're the hares, but we weren't really ever chasing rapid growth. We would have been happy to grow faster than we did, but retrospectively, our organic gradual growth has led us to create a business that has shown it will stand through tough times like COVID. And like you said, we've got over 5,000 five-star reviews because people are just using word of mouth to share the stories of our business. So we both come from families who run small businesses, and so we wanted the freedom that we perceived them to have. We were both in full-time work and feeling pretty unfulfilled. I was a web developer and Aaron was in railway logistics, but he'd just spent the last 7 or so years in the Australian Defence Forces as well. So he was a naval officer, which gave him an interesting skill set. And at that time, we both had our heads buried in investment books. We just read The 4-Hour Workweek by Tim Ferriss, and we'd been trying different revenues and ideas for money making. Like we'd written a food blog and we're doing restaurant reviews and we were flipping houses, but none of this had like the financial upside that we were looking for. So as you said earlier, in 2010, I was pregnant with our first child, and as an incredibly thoughtful thing to do, Aaron made me up a stretch mark cream for my growing belly. And then because we were both quite health obsessed and into DIY, the naive idea dawned on us that we could have an e-commerce business and that we'd sell natural beauty products to help us achieve our dreams of financial freedom. So it was a way the idea was that it was a way for us to have a business from home, outsourcing manufacturing and outsourcing fulfillment and having no employees except for ourselves. It sounded perfect, especially since we're both quite introverted. The idea of putting ourselves out there and doing cold calls and things like that was just way out of our comfort zone at that time. So we always started with the end goal of selling our business. We knew what sale price we wanted and that we'd invest the proceeds in real estate and hopefully make a living off that passive income. In the end, what we ended up with, well, it's not the end yet, but right now what we've got is quite different to what we'd originally dreamt up. We now have a manufacturing and logistics company with 4 different brands and 7 employees, and we do everything in-house at our own dedicated facility. So we don't outsource pretty much anything. So as I mentioned, my background is in technology. I'm a software engineer by trade, so I'm the digital expert in the business. My focus has became creating a website for Happy Skincare to showcase our anti-aging cream. And Aaron, he came from a hospitality military operations background, so he takes care of the logistics side of the background of the business. So together we've got a really diverse skill set that we felt that we could make this business happen. So we started, we didn't just dive in and create the product. We started with a customer profiling survey. We formulated a pretty in-depth survey and we actually promoted it on a competitions website, offering people the opportunity to win an iPad, which was very novel and exciting at the time. And the survey, it attempted to give us a real insight into what people wanted when it came to their skincare. And just the other day, actually, I was tidying up some paperwork and I found the survey results, and it was really fascinating. People are still looking for the same thing 10 years later. So skincare that's affordable, safe and non-toxic, delivered results and cruelty-free and Australian made. Actually, the Australian made thing is now so much more of a motivation for people than it ever was because of COVID and people wanting to support small local businesses. So after poring over the survey results, our original idea came to light. It was to create just one product, an anti-aging cream. The cream was going to give such amazing results that it would be the only cream you'd ever need. It would suit all skin types and solve all skin concerns. This is, I think we were kidding ourselves a bit there. And we were even going to call it the one cream, but we actually soon found out that another brand was already using that name, so we couldn't do that. So showing a bit how naive we were, we worked out that if we could contract manufacture the products and get a third-party logistics or a 3PL company to ship them, all I had to do was work from home and create a website, and we had to sell 60 units a day and we'd achieve our financial goals. And in theory, it was all falling into place, and so we just decided to start. Referring back to the 4-hour work week, we've never worked 4 hours or less in a week since we started, not even when we've been on holiday. To get a business started with limited funds, you really need to put in the hours, because at that stage of your business, you're the only one who's willing to do that for free. So in the beginning, we were both working full-time jobs, and my maternity leave was creeping up, and we didn't realize at the time, but we only had a few precious child-free amount of time to work on the business. So yeah, naive as it was, it wasn't a bad thing that we started when we did, because the act of doing makes you make mistakes and you learn quickly. We were very lean and open to change in the beginning, and we shifted quickly and frequently, and our goals really evolved over that early time. And yeah, we just sort of did everything on our feet, really. So we started slow, but with a belief that the longer we could stay in the game, the greater our chance of success was. So even though we weren't making any money in the beginning, we just hung on really out of sheer determination. We were getting such beautiful feedback from our customers that we'd helped, and we were growing in the right direction. So we had faith that our business would be viable one day soon. We just needed to keep tracking in that direction. So from the beginning, what we did is we consciously did our very best to make Happy Skincare a really personal business. We put as much personality as we could into each and every one of our email communications. So this is a real challenge with e-commerce, is getting that human connection. So we never presented Happy Skincare as the brand Happy Skincare. Every bit of messaging, everything came personally from us. Everything's from Aaron and Phoebe, and we wanted everyone to feel like they knew us and that they were a part of our happy family. So it seems to have worked, and we found our customers really opening up to us and asking for more products. And one that really changed things for us was there was a lady who was going through chemotherapy and radiation therapy at the time, and she was suffering from really bad dry skin effects from her treatments. So our hearts and souls really, we went out to this lady and other people who were contacting us, and we felt compelled to create our second product, which is called the TLC Intensive Repair Oil. And that was to help with the damage that these treatments were doing to the skin that the cancer treatments were causing. Now, we had to be very careful here, because we couldn't promote our product as being for chemotherapy or radiation therapy, because that would make it a therapeutic product, and it would be really breaking some really important rules and regulations of the skincare industry. But we did share sort of anecdotes and work very carefully to stay within the law. And the word spread around the hunter about what they were calling the happy oil. And we forged a relationship with the Hunter Breast Cancer Foundation, and we were supplying products to go in their sort of their care packages that they were sending out to new cancer patients in the Hunter region. And Aaron was going out and doing monthly talks at cancer support groups, helping educate people about the ingredients that go into skincare products and home cleaning products and those sorts of things, and ways that they could make some more healthy choices when it comes to those products to help just detox a little bit and help them through their treatments and strengthen their skin to give them the best chance of not having nasty, uncomfortable side effects from chemo and radiation therapy. So the direction that this took our business in, it sort of went, when we pivoted from helping people with anti-aging to just helping people who are really going through a tough time, it was what made us fall in love with Happy Skincare. It helped us find our purpose, and yeah, we felt like all of a sudden there was some meaning to what we were doing. So even though we began working with a contract manufacturer, it never really worked for us due to various reasons. So we started doing our own small batch manufacturing from home with our contract manufacturer. So we only really ever used the contract manufacturer for that first product, our anti-aging cream. And there were issues with like quality from time to time, consistency, like different batches had different colors or smells. The contract manufacturers had long lead times and large upfront costs. There was a real lack of control from our end, and one of the biggest ones was a lack of IP ownership. So the contract manufacturer owned the formula, not us. So we started bringing some new products into the mix. We started with some easy to make products like a lip balm and a mineral clay mask. And we were making all of this out of our laundry, which we retrofitted to convert into a skincare lab. And it was after launching our mineral masks that we landed on a business model that's still sort of the core of what we do now, which is sampling. It started as a partnership with the Women's Running magazine. They actually helped us do a free promotion, and we got a database full of people who were interested in trying free samples of our mineral mask. So all of a sudden we had a list of names and emails and people that were interested in our product. And so we did a direct mail out and we sent these samples out to them, and we followed up with, we try and use technology and software to be as efficient as we can. So we were using like automated follow-up emails to engage the customers and get them to interact with our brand. And that worked really well. And so we tried some more sampling on a larger scale, and we got involved with sampling in subscription boxes, like monthly beauty boxes that people can pay say a nominal amount, like maybe it's $30 a month, and you get a whole bunch of samples sent to you every month. So we worked with quite a few of those just to get our products into people's hands. And all of a sudden people were starting to follow us a little bit more, and yeah, we decided it was the most effective strategy that we'd found to date, and that's evolved now. The subscription box market is just crazy saturated. We get contacted all the time, like daily almost, with people wanting to put our products into a gift box or subscription box. So we have to be really choosy with which ones we use and work with now. We're very strategic about it. But now we have sample packs available for sale on our website, and that's our main customer acquisition tool. Whether it's you know, whatever your skin type or whatever product you're after, we have a sample that you can try first, a low cost entry point into trying our products before you invest in the full size. So yeah, that became really the core of what we do. We sample first. So we were part-time in the business for 4 years, and we still weren't making a profit. At the time, we were members of a business mentoring group, and they asked us a great question, and it was a real financial turning point for us. I said, where is the first $500 of money going to come from this month? It's a really simple question, and we didn't have an answer for it right away. So from that moment onwards, our monthly intention had always been to get a money goal. So we weren't just solely focused on helping people anymore. We had to make money first. So the money making tasks, they're often the really uncomfortable ones. And yeah, Aaron and I are not out there people. So anyone who's introverted or risk adverse might struggle with, you know, the sales calls, getting rejections. That can be a bit confidence eliminating. Just doing the customer service, spending money on advertising, and just putting yourself out there. All the fun, creative stuff is important, but it needed to come second, because if we were going to stay in business, we needed to acknowledge that cash is the oxygen of our business, and if there's no cash, then there's no business. So we didn't think that as such a small business that we'd be able to get an investor. We couldn't even get a credit card at that point, so there was no way we were going to be able to get a loan. So we had to fund the business from our cash flow. And it's much harder and slower to do it that way, but I guess on the positive side, what we've done and what we've built up is something that's sustainable. So after 4 years in part-time in the business, we decided at that time to make the leap to becoming full-time on our business, and we focused on getting that first $500. And then it became $1,000 a month, and then $2,000, $5,000, then $10,000, $30,000. So it just scales up, but really that money focus is what keeps us on track. So we were fortunate enough at the very beginning we didn't start with $0. We actually had some savings from some real estate sales that sustained us over those early years. But when we made that switch to full-time, we did have 2 investment properties, and we sold those to take the pressure off and to really give us some space to do what we needed to do in the business without the insane pressure of having mortgage repayments and things like that. And it was a very, very happy year, and it was about the 5th or 6th year of business that we actually made a profit. And from that year on, we've never gone backwards in a quarter. Like every financial quarter has been better than the one before, and we're growing at a rate of about 45% year on year on average. So in 2015, we launched a second brand, Woohoo Body. So Woohoo Body is an all-natural deodorant range. We've been watching the market really carefully, and we saw a trend appearing in natural deodorants. We wouldn't have spotted this trend if we hadn't spent the last 4 years struggling and really looking for opportunities. So while Happy Skincare was an e-commerce brand, we created Woohoo Body to be different. It was targeted at bricks and mortar stores, and it was designed to sit on store shelves. We had a really strong hunch that a natural deodorant released under the Happy Skincare brand would just not be picked up by stores. By then we had a number of products in our range, and the packaging was white and, you know, not exciting and vibrant. And to get picked up by a distributor, they'd have to bring on the entire range. And so we thought it would be much easier to get distribution in just the one category, in the deodorant category, and make a really niche brand. And because skincare in retail stores is really saturated and dominated by the multinationals and with massive marketing budgets, and our packaging really wasn't up to it. So Woohoo became a totally separate entity with bright, colourful, vibrant packaging and an energy that Happy Skincare doesn't have. So it's a bit of a different personality in the brand. And then most importantly, the deodorants work really well too. So the Woohoo body range was actually picked up by a national distributor within 3 months. In 2017, we won an accolade as the best natural deodorant, which was pretty exciting. And we've grown to have over 350 stockists nationwide, and that's both locally, and we've got some international stockists in USA, Hong Kong, Taiwan, and New Zealand as well. All right. So we've grown the business. As the business grew, we found that the different aspects of the business also grew as well, meaning that we couldn't really handle them on our own anymore, just between the two of us. The business was evolving well beyond being a home-based part-time business. Our house was crazy. We had boxes literally stacked to the ceiling in our lounge room, and our second little boy, he was 2 already, and he was getting into the boxes, and it was just all getting too hard. So in 2016, we made the scary decision to lease a warehouse and move the business, reclaiming our home. We had been working with third-party logistics companies to fulfill all our orders, and we were pretty unimpressed with them. And there were breakages and errors, and there's just a general lack of love in the packages. And we wanted to start packing the orders ourselves to sort of regain control over this really important part of our business. After all, when someone orders something online and then they're getting their delivery, that's the first impression that they have of your business. So it needs to be a really special moment when they're unboxing. So we figured that to save some costs and maximise the use of our warehouse, we'd hire our first employee and start bringing things back in-house. Our first team member was actually a family member, which was a bit of a gamble, but he needed work at the time and we needed help. So he's still here with us 10 years later, and it's over the time we've also hired 2 casuals, a full-time office manager, another full-timer to help with manufacturing, and we have someone who works remotely on our social media content. So we've grown the team, and we just have such a wonderful team. We're so lucky. It's pretty special that they tell us that they love their work and that they look forward to coming to work each day, and actually they feel happier leaving work than when they came to work. So it's really nice. Well, not happy because they're leaving, it's happy because they've spent time with us. So we launched our new Woohoo range of deodorant sticks in 2018, and Woohoo was now growing much faster than Happy Skincare. We're still distributing to bricks and mortar stores, but the e-commerce side of Woohoo Body was growing as well. So in 2019, as we neared the end of our lease, we just needed to go up again in size. So we actually purchased some warehouse space in Adamstown, which is near our house, but not too close. And yeah, we were on the move again. So backtracking a little bit, in 2018, we actually created our third brand called Hiso Men's Grooming. Hiso, the range is made up of 3 shaving products that are targeted at men with sensitive skin, which is basically Aaron. And he had wanted to create this range for so long because he'd been spending the last 8 years making skincare for women, and men have unique skincare needs too. So this was a dream of Aaron's, but in reality, Hiso hasn't worked out all that well for us. It's still it's still there in the background ticking along, but we didn't really research the market well enough. And I guess this shows the importance of having a product that fills a need for people. The men's skincare segment, while it's growing rapidly in Asia, it's in Australia, it's still a long way behind. And so many men actually just have their products purchased for them at the supermarket when their partners are doing the shopping. Like they're not buying their own product, or they're just stealing their partner's products. And we were sort of trying to target men who were environmentally conscious and thinking about their health and well-being and all the ingredients that go in their products. And there are men like that out there, but it's a pretty small segment. We haven't found our hungry audience, a hungry market for HESO yet. So I really this is an important learning for us, and I think it's kind of served us right for not listening to our customers. Like all the way along in our business journey so far, we'd only ever created things because our customers really wanted them, but HESO was something we created because we wanted to. So yeah, there's a bit of an important learning from there. So 2019 was a pretty full-on year for us. As well as renovating and moving to our new facility, we did a lot of work creating a business entity in the USA, which means we now meet the legal requirements for having a warehouse and distribution in the USA. We partnered with another small family business in South Carolina, and they warehouse the Woohoo range for us there. And we will be expanding our other brands into the USA too. It's just a little bit of red tape that we need to get through first. I guess the COVID and the other political turmoil in the USA has really slowed things down there, but now we're ready for when the time is right. Now, a lot of energy last year also went into protecting the IP for our Happy Skincare brand, our trademarks. I can't go into too much detail about this right now because the legal proceedings are still going on, but we are fighting for our rights to stop another brand from infringing on our trademarks. It's been slow and drawn out and rather frustrating, but we hope that it'll all be over in the next 6 months and we'll have a resolution. But it's been a huge learning curve and motivation for us to really fortify our trademarks across all of our brands, both in Australia and internationally, because it's very important to have, to be unique. When someone's searching for your brand, you don't want that confusion. So closer to home, actually in the next couple of months, we are launching our 4th brand, which is called Happy You Hair. And hair care has been our #1 requested product from our customers for years now. So we have learned from the mistake of HESO men's grooming, and we're really excited about launching this brand because Happy You is much requested, and it actually is quite unique in that the formulas are all biodegradable and marine safe, which I don't think there's any other shampoos and conditioner ranges on the market, at least in Australia, that give the results that our products do, but have the same eco credentials. So looking back, our business does continue to grow and make profits. And so after 10 years, we still love what we do, although we do often feel quite overworked and under holidayed. It can be really hard not to compare yourself to the startup unicorn businesses that they seem to be overnight successes, but we just need to remind ourselves that our business is growing in uncertain times, and it's something that we're really grateful for. We've created a business that is sustainable and can weather the storm. We've always had a small marketing budget, and until last year, we never had any debt. When we did get a loan, it was actually from our parents to help fund our renovation of our new facility, and that's nearly paid back now. So it never, a lot of in the skincare industry, a lot of quick startups, they use influencer marketing and to promote their products. But to us, that just it just never felt genuine. We were getting constantly such amazing feedback from real customers, and they were spreading the word about us. So we knew that eventually this slow but genuine way of marketing would create lasting customer loyalty rather than a quick purchase, and then we'd never see that person again. So that's what we've been built around. And the things that we've learned are to be authentic and treat people with care and respect, to always listen to our customers, and that we needed to put ourselves out there, even though that wasn't our original intention, because we are quite shy. But we wanted to make, we wanted to relate to people, and design and aesthetics are very important to convey quality. Packaging, as much as people say that it doesn't matter, or they often do, you know, say that they'll prioritise eco-friendliness over aesthetics. Often it does go the other way. And never sell on hello. Always try and help someone before you sell to them. And you can't do everything. You need to find good people to help you. And we've also learned to put a little bit of wow in every box, because it just brings up extra little bit of happiness and adds meaning to what we do. So thank you. That's our story, and I'll have to pass back to you now, Siobhan.
Thanks so much, Phoebe. I love that. I love your story. It's you've taken those principles of being really genuine and authentic from the get-go, from the very first time Aaron developed that product for you. And it was really interesting to see the new products being released and your different approaches to them, and you know, the lessons that you've learned along the way, particularly with the men's grooming product, and how that's helped inform the shampoo range or the hair care range instead.
Yeah.
And I think it just shows how engaged your customers are as a result of that genuineness and that authenticity. I know I got introduced to your product from a friend who is very eco, natural, very much environmentally conscious, and looks after their health and well-being. And I had always been contemplating getting away from using antiperspirants, and just didn't have a recommendation of a good product to use. And they recommended Woohoo. And interestingly enough, I knew you were just around the corner from where I lived. So it was just a matter of not like being there on a day when you were open to be able to come by, because I know you've got a little shop front at the at your lab and distribution center. And interestingly enough, I was getting an Uber to work one morning, and I got in the front seat, and the Uber driver had your product in his console in the middle. And he was this big, hairy guy. And I was like, oh, have you been to the place that sells the Woohoo? And he's like, oh, yeah, we've been using this product for 5 years, and my kids use it, and I'm from the Central Coast. And every time I get a job up in Newcastle, I always make sure I stop by the headquarters to get a stock up on the product for me and my family. And I'm like, geez, if this hairy guy from the Central Coast is using this and raving about it, it must be amazing. So I made a special mission to come by and get it. And yes, I swear by it. It's amazing product. So I don't usually endorse product, not paid. I'm not an influencer, but I do think it's a great product. And it's just been really interesting to hear you talk about that journey from the skincare product range through to the natural deodorant range, and now through to the hair care. I'll be really interested to see that on the shelves as well. So we've got some questions that people asked in advance of today's session. And so some of them you've covered off as part of your presentation, but there are a few, and we actually had a lot of questions around product. And I guess because making a health and wellbeing product comes with its own issues and own concerns. So I wanted to start off with a question from Larissa, who works at the Australian Academy of Science. And she's asked, did you employ a cosmetic chemist when you first started formulating your products?
Yeah, we did. The very first product we made, we used a cosmetic chemist, and we did that because our first product was a cream, and creams are actually the hardest kind of products to make because you're combining oil and water together and having to emulsify them. But that's not really the hard part. The hard part is actually making sure that you've got that product. Since it's got water in it, you need to have it preserved properly. And there's a huge safety concern. And as complete newbies, we needed to make sure that we were doing everything by the books. So yeah, we did use a contract manufacturer for that very first product. But as I mentioned earlier, there was downsides to that. And so we used the contract manufacturing experience to learn a lot about that process. And we found that by paying attention to that and taking away as much learning as we could actually replicate all those processes ourselves and, you know, work with independent labs for testing and things like that, and really just cut out the contract manufacturer. Yeah.
And so Lucas has got another question. He's from the Sydney School of Entrepreneurship. That's a bit of a follow-up from that. So the idea of moving from making a cream for yourself to making a product that you're actually going to sell for others to buy. On those safety and regulatory hurdles, can you give some examples of what they are and sort of, I guess maybe did you underestimate the time it might take to jump over those safety and regulatory hurdles, or the costs that might be associated with them?
Yeah, well, time is actually the biggest thing, because when you create a skincare product, it needs the testing. Well, actually, the thing is, there's no one regulating the skincare industry in Australia. The ACCC is there, and there's the Therapeutics Goods Administration, but the TGA, they don't care about you if you're just a cosmetic product. And as long as you're not making any medical claims. So really, it's a self-regulated industry, and there's no one out there making sure that products are properly preserved or that they're safe to use. It's really, the onus is on the user of the product to read the ingredients label and to do their research on the brand. So, but we've always done things in terms of testing and things like that as thoroughly as we can. So actually in the background of while we were building the business, Aaron did become a qualified cosmetic chemist. And he
really?
Yeah, so he studied and he did some extended study in cosmetics regulation and compliance as well. But the type of testing that you need to do is quite extensive and time consuming. So you sort of start with stability testing, where you do it in sort of a number of levels. There's real-time stability testing. So you need to make sure your product will last on a shelf for at least 18 months, especially if you're going to sell it to a store to on-sell. Like when we're selling via e-commerce, it goes from manufacturing direct to the customer very quickly, and often it's used up quickly. But in a store, it can sit on a shelf for years even. So we do real-time stability testing, but we also do accelerated stability testing. So we put the product into an oven at 40 degrees, and that basically fast forwards time and gives us a much faster understanding of if a product's going to fail. We also do freeze-thaw testing, where we freeze it, then we defrost it, freeze it and defrost it, freeze it and defrost it a number of times to make sure the formula all holds together. And then if it passes all of those tests, we do preservative efficacy testing, where the product in its final packaging goes off to a lab, and they take some of that product and they basically add mold and bacteria to it, and then they monitor it over a 6-week period, putting it at various temperatures, and they make sure that the preservative system stands up to the bacteria they've subjected it to. And it needs to come back with results within a certain range for it to be safe and for us to release it for sale. But a lot of small brands wouldn't do a lot of those things. They just simply don't have the knowledge, I don't think, because they will often go off to contract manufacturers. And a contract manufacturer, if they're doing the right thing, will encourage them to have those tests done, but they're not compulsory.
So, and I guess a follow-on question from that then too is from Elizabeth, who's asking if a customer has a reaction to a skincare product, who's held responsible? Is it the business owner or the manufacturer of the ingredients, or is it a buyer beware type situation?
It would be us as the manufacturer of the skincare product, because we're the ones out there selling it in the marketplace. But just because someone has a reaction to a product, it doesn't necessarily mean that it's sort of something that needs a product recall or anything, because skincare, we deal with reactions all the time, because just the nature of our products, people with really sensitive, problematic skin are coming to us all the time. And reactions even from natural products happen all the time, because people might be sensitive to a chemical compound in an essential oil, or some people with a latex allergy, they can't use shea butter because shea is from the latex family.
Oh, so I had no idea.
Yeah, so there's all these little linkages and sensitivities that so we work through people with people sensitivities, and we try and isolate whether they're actually having an allergic reaction or just irritation. But yeah, if we notice a pattern of, and thank goodness it hasn't ever happened today, if we notice a pattern of irritation happening, then we would certainly be able to track it down to which batch of a product, because we have to batch code everything as a part of our quality assurance processes. And then we retain samples from every batch. We have retention samples from different stages of the manufacturing of each batch, and we would keep those and we would test those, and we would sort of, yeah, we've never had to do a recall, but if we had to, we could.
Yeah, okay. That's good to know. I mean, I guess so much of this, sorry, there's a bit of echo on the stream, but it's so good to know that although it's not necessarily compulsory for manufacturers to do what you're doing in terms of the batch processing and keeping those samples, or it is a requirement?
No.
Like, you know, saying it was sort of a self-regulatory industry. Does that also translate to the processing?
Yeah, so you don't need to batch code things. You don't need to, that level of traceability is not something that's required in the industry. But we are searching, we're hoping in the near future to get GMP accredited. So, which would mean, because some countries, you have to follow good manufacturing processes for to be able to export to the UK, for example. All the products need to come out of a GMP facility, and to get that GMP accreditation, you need to follow certain QA processes and have all of that paper trail for every single batch and quality step of the quality assurance process in place. So that's our goal.
We've got another question here from Melanie Albert, who's asking, how do you maintain such high product quality when orders increase?
That's a really good question, and it has been a challenge for us because we did go through a stage where we grew quite quickly. There's a few aspects to it. One is that you really need to have the right equipment for the job. So while we started in our kitchen mixing things, or in our laundry mixing things in a saucepan on a hot plate, that's not going to cut it anymore. Like with a little handheld blender, you need to scale up, and you need to invest in the right machinery that's going to do the right job for you. But another really important consideration we had to that everyone has to take into account when taking a product from like a little lab scale sample to a larger batch size and making things 10 kilos at a time, to making things 50 kilos at a time, to 500 kilos at a time, is the cosmetic formulas change as you scale them up, and you need to be very watchful and make small incremental increases and make sure formulas get adjusted along the way, because as you switch from machinery, like your product might emulsify differently, it might become aerated, or might actually, most recently, we've with our shampoo, we've noticed that as we scaled it up, it got better and better. Here with the formula, which is awesome. So yeah, you need to be very, very watchful, and as I said, we take samples from every batch at multiple stages of that batch, and we have to be very vigilant at checking those. Even when we're busy and we're rushing to get products out there, it's so important that we check the quality and we don't sell anything unless it passes our checks.
Well, I've got another question here from Liam Potter, who's asking, how do you differentiate yourself in such a saturated market, especially when you consider the boom in Australian-based independent alternatives, as well as the growing prevalence of the Southeast Asian market?
Well, the way that we differentiated ourselves is really on a personal level, it's through trying to connect with customers. And we actually, our customers, they're sort of, with Happy Skincare and with Woohoo, we seem to connect most effectively with women who are sort of aged in their 30s and 40s, because they're spending time online and they're they're health motivated, and our messaging and our authenticity seems to really resonate with them, and they're looking out for themselves, their own health and the health of their growing families. So we differentiate by not just being a skincare brand that sells products, but we educate and we build relationships, and we try and entertain people as well. We try and, just give them really great content without always selling to them. So we're trying to create a community just as much as we are a business. And I think what's called A Beauty or Australian Beauty, there's a massive rise in A Beauty at the moment. Even in Southeast Asia, we did originally think, wow, there's all this amazing stuff coming out of Southeast Asia, and the packaging that comes out of Southeast Asia is so cool. Like, I love it. It's just minimalist and really, really sleek and really modern. But they're loving Australian products as well. There's a real demand for them because, especially in Southeast Asia, everyone associates Australia with this cleanliness and purity, that they imagine Australia and they see our clean beaches and things that they don't necessarily have in those regions. It's with heavily polluted cities and things like that. So by using a lot of Australian ingredients and promoting the benefits of those ingredients and just putting ourselves out there, we've been able to differentiate ourselves.
So is there a particular reason then why you focused on establishing in the US rather than Southeast Asia?
It was easier, I guess, because the regulations in the USA are quite similar to what we have in Australia, and we have a free trade agreement. So import and export, when we started, was actually really easy and fast, but with COVID, it's just thrown a spanner in the works. Getting products shipped to and from the USA has become so hard, and especially because we do buy some packaging from China, a lot of the packaging it just isn't made in Australia. It's not available here, so we do import from China, and we tried sending a box to the USA that had some Chinese print on the outside. We were reusing a box that had coming from China, and that box just could not get through customs. So there's a lot of political stuff going on right now that has slowed down our export to the USA, but we hope it'll get back on track soon.
And we've got a great question here from Maria Summit, who's a student at the university. She's asking, do you market to the medical profession? And if so, is it done independently or via an agency? We don't actually, because our products aren't therapeutic, even though we do have products that are known by, the oncologists around Newcastle as the happy oil, and there's a lot of pharmacists in the area that they really heavily promote our products because of the anecdotal stories they've heard. We still don't market to them because it would be in breach of our the TGA laws.
But if we were to do that, we would have to go through, we'd have to make our products in a TGA approved facility. And to market to the medical professionals, we'd engage a sales agent to do that. Someone who's, it's their job to full-time sell to those professionals, because that's a whole nother industry.
We've got time for maybe one or two more questions. I've got one here from Susan Zhu, who is also at the University of Newcastle, and she's asking, could you share any tips for young businesses to keep going during the pandemic? How has it impacted your company?
We've been really, really fortunate to be set up as an e-commerce business during the pandemic, because in a time when people were going into their houses and shopping online, we were there and ready and set up, ready to go. A lot of other businesses were scrambling to get online, but we were there already. So the impact to us really has been minimal, which is we're so grateful for. We haven't needed to get any of the government grants for assistance, things like that. We didn't qualify for them because we were still continuing on, and we haven't had to lay off staff or anything. So we're so fortunate. But when it did, the pandemic, or when the sort of the shock and everyone was in a bit of a panic about it at the very start, we had a bit of a knee-jerk reaction, and we thought, we've got to stop spending money. And we sort of, I stopped all marketing, like all of our advertising spending was just chopped off, and that was the wrong thing to do, I think. But what I did do right was I took the time to look at all of our spending and all of our outgoings and think what is actually, like, sort of going back and saying what is actually required, what's making us money, or what's just stuff that I like to have. Because being a technology person, I've got all these amazing technology tools that I pay a lot of money for every month, and I had to scale back and sort of get rid of some of my toys and really look at what was working on our website, what people were using versus what I thought we should have. And I managed to save quite a lot of money, but before too long, I started advertising again. And because you have to stay there. You have to stay in the forefront of people's minds. But you have to, I think we had to change the tone of what we're doing. Even though we're already trying to be a really personal business, we had to sort of be really open and even every time I sell something now or we release a new product, I feel like it has to be done with an extra level of sensitivity and empathy, because it just doesn't feel right to do a hard sell on someone at the moment. So we're really trying to emphasize our vulnerability and let people know that we're here and we're real people too, and everything that they can do to support us is really, really appreciated. Yeah.
I've got one last question here that actually comes from our Vice Chancellor and President at the University of Newcastle, Professor Alex Zielinski. He's asking, can the university help your company in any way?
That's a really interesting one. I'm not sure. I guess the university has so many capabilities. I'm sure there's so many ways that we could be helped. But one thing that we've always loved the idea of doing, but we haven't because it was been too scarily expensive, is having clinical trials done and to prove that specific products work. Those trials can, there's a lot that goes behind those. So to have that kind of data, to be able to stand behind our products and say, 9 out of 10 people saw this result, that would be amazing. So those kind of studies and studies about the safety of products as well, like marine toxicity and the safety of product, not animal testing, but just proving that formulas are biodegradable and good for the environment would be amazing.
Well, I might have to put you in touch with our R&D collaboration team. There's some really great grants as well that both the state and federal government offer to help match some of the costs for research projects too, but we can talk about that off the line.
Amazing. Oh, thank you.
But thank you so much, Phoebe, for your time today. We really appreciate it. We're just gone past 9 o'clock. You know, if anyone's interested in finding out more about Phoebe, you can, we'll be adding a link to this recording, as well as some highlights of Phoebe's journey in a news article on our website. And we'll provide a URL to Happy Skincare and the other product ranges that are available as well. But thank you so much again, Phoebe. I'm just going to quickly highlight a couple of events that we've actually got coming up here at the University of Newcastle at the I2N. The first one is our next Startup Stories, which is with Adam Boyle, who's the founder of Pegasus. They've just made a huge Series A funding round, speaking of high growth startups, which I know, Phoebe, you're at pains to say that you're not, and you've gone the tortoise in the hare and tortoise, but that there's some amazing benefits from going down that pathway as well, including maintaining all the ownership and all the decision making within your company, which I think has its massive benefits from bootstrapping. Adam Boyle has a tech company and they have benefited greatly from investment, and he's going to share that story as part of the Spark Festival, which is now a national celebration of entrepreneurship and startups that happens in October. And then we've got another one as well as that's part of Spark Festival, which is with Cheryl Gledhill, who is an amazing product developer that has great connections to Newcastle as well. We've also got coming up as part of our Grand Challenge series, which is the Mosquito Challenge. We've got a couple of Ask Me Anythings with mosquito experts, as well as some skill development workshops. You don't have to be thinking about making a submission to the Grand Challenge to join our AMAs or skill development workshops. They're great professional development experiences as well, but we've got one actually that kicks off, that's actually the wrong time. We've got one that kicks off today at 10 o'clock with Nothing But Nets, which is a UN Foundation initiative that delivers mosquito interventions internationally at 10 o'clock today. So check out our website and join along for that one if you're interested in knowing more about global interventions in mosquito prevention. And then we have a skill development workshop around creating real world value. So this is looking at, you know, what your value proposition might be, who your customers or your end users or beneficiaries of an idea might be, or at least working out who they are if you don't know, and how you might be able to gain insights from those customers to build up a really strong value proposition for your submission into the Grand Challenge. And then we've got another Ask Me Anything with the 2019 Grand Challenge winners from last year. So you can ask them any questions you want about what they did with their submission, what made a good submission, how did they prepare for their pitch, what did they do with their funding, and where are they now? And we have our last skill development workshop, which is creating sustainable impact. And so this is really looking at the nuts and bolts of, I've got this great idea, I know who my beneficiaries are going to be and what my value proposition is, but how do I make it work? So what's my, if it's going to be a business idea or a sustainable impact business idea, what do I need, social enterprise rather, what do I need to have in place to make that work? So who are my partners? What's my business model going to look like? Or if it's a research project, what's my budget going to look like? And who do I need to bring on to help make it happen? And then our last Ask Me Anything was with Dr. Cameron Webb, who's also known as the mosquito guy. He's based at New South Wales Health and knows a lot about the mosquitoes that we have at the Callaghan and Central Coast areas. So they are different mosquitoes to the ones that are more sort of vector-borne, disease-carrying mosquitoes that we have up the coast or internationally. And he can tell you a lot about their behaviours to help inform any ideas that you might have about reducing the nuisance factor of mosquitoes around our campuses. And that's pretty much it. The Grand Challenge submissions actually open on the 21st of September and they close just towards the end of October. So all of these skill development workshops and AMAs are all there to help you prepare and build the best submission you possibly can for the Grand Challenge and get your project funded. But that's it for us now at the I2N. Thank you all so much for coming along. Thank you for your questions. I'm sorry we couldn't get to them all, but hopefully we covered off most of the material within Phoebe's presentation as well as the questions afterwards. Have a great day and we look forward to seeing you at the next Startup Story soon. Thanks everyone. Thanks Phoebe.
Thank you. Bye.